Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. If you are new, my name is Sarah. This is my puppy, Baki. I came down to the bottom of my land to film and let him run in the water, but apparently he's just gonna sit here with me. I am from the United States. I currently live in rural Colombia, where I have a small finca, and I'm creating a small homestead with my Colombian family. So in today's video, I thought we would talk about a few things that relate to if you're considering moving to rural Colombia, a few things that might help you in your decision whether or not you want to move to the Colombian countryside or not. But even though you do your research, you watch these videos, I 100 bazillion percent encourage you to live in the area that you're thinking about moving to or buying land, because you are the only one who can tell if these things are going to bother you or not. Before I bought my property, I lived for a year in rural Colombia, so I knew that I loved it. I knew the good, the bad, and the ugly. So for me, it was, and a lot of people complain. I was in a Facebook group and people were complaining about, oh, bloggers didn't tell me about X, Y, and Z. But okay, you can watch my video, but you need to do your own research, which means boots on the ground. You need to come here and see and experience for yourself, because I can tell you all these amazing things that I love about it, all these things that I don't like about it, but I'm different than you. So it's still important to come here and see if it's for you. So do your own research beyond videos, beyond bloggers. Beyond that, you need to experience the life for yourself. Let's get into my 14 or 15 things that why you will not survive here if you don't do your proper research. Number one, nature. Nature is loud. A lot of people move to rural Colombia and they think, oh, it's going to be so quiet and so peaceful. And that can be the case. It can be, but let me tell you, it is a different type of noise. So nature is loud in different ways. The sounds that you hear now, the water, the bugs, the screeching of animals, the chickens crowing at all hours of the day, in the morning. Even my road, we have motorcycles. Motorcycles are loud. You don't hear that when you're in a big city building. You don't hear how loud the cars can be here. So not only is nature loud, but living in a small town, everyone drives a motorcycle. Dogs are running around like crazy. Dogs barking. Nature is just extra loud. Yesterday, I heard I was outside and I heard this screeching noise, and I asked Rafa, I said, is that a bug or is that like an animal? And it was like this high-pitched screech. It was a bug. I don't know what it was, but it sounded like someone being tortured. So the sounds are different. Maybe you're in a city, you're used to the low hum of traffic, you're okay with it, the sounds of your air conditioner, your heating, all these sounds. But when you're here, you can't control the sounds. They're just gonna be noise. So it is very common in rural Colombia to have dogs barking at 3 a.m., to have dogs barking at all hours of the day, dogs fighting, street dogs everywhere, roosters, chickens, ducks, cows. We hear the cows mooing across the road. That's life here. And I've lived in some towns that are a lot louder than where I live now. So where I live now, I consider very quiet compared to other places, because you can get really unfortunate and buy a house and your neighbor has dogs that bark all the time. I have stayed in some hostels in rural Colombia, and the dogs, it's just the barking, and you're like, I'm like, oh, thank goodness I decided not to live there, because you never know. I got lucky. Here we don't have dogs. We have dogs barking, but nothing like places that I have stayed before. So you adapt to your surroundings, and this surrounding is nature, which you cannot control. You cannot go knocking on the door and say, hey, Mr. Bug, please tone it down. No, it's just gonna happen. So number two, we have no Uber, no Starbucks, no Juan Valdez, no XOXO, no Carula, no Jumbo, no Walmarts, no Targets, no big superstores, no chains. We have no chain restaurants. In Colombia, it's common for the one chain restaurant to be maybe a Starbucks, but we do not have that. We don't have one even. The closest Starbucks might be Medellin. I don't even know if there's a Starbucks in Medellin, to be honest. But we don't have no Wendy's, no McDonald's, no Burger King, no Subway, none of that. We don't have fast food 24/7, nada. If you run out of something and it's 9 p.m. at night and you need it, you are up a creek without a paddle, because let me tell you, unless you already have it at home and can make it, you're not gonna get it. Not gonna happen. Public transportation stops at around 5 o'clock. Maybe if you're in town, this is also, if you're in town and you want to take a tuk-tuk somewhere, after like 7 p.m., the tuk-tuk stop. You can take a moto taxi, but they also stop at a certain hour, maybe 9 or 10, maybe. So there is nothing 24/7. If you don't have it already by like 9 p.m., you're not gonna get it. Number 3, internet cell phone service can go out at any moment. And if you need high-speed internet, we have high-speed internet. We have Starlink. Number 1, it's very expensive. So it is not common to find Starlink here. Luckily, Rafa has a job that he needs high-speed internet. He teaches Spanish online, so his classes pay for the internet. So we have high-speed internet. Luckily, because then I can upload my videos. But before Starlink came out, we had country Wi-Fi, and let me tell you, first of all, we are lucky. If you are lucky if you can get country Wi-Fi. It's slow, but at least you have internet, but it's very slow. So even in the town, the internet's not great. So Wi-Fi, unless you're going to invest in Starlink, is going to be very bad. And the electricity can go out at any time. Here, our electricity does not go out as much as other towns that I have been in. Where I used to live, the electricity went out all the time. We didn't have electricity once for 3 days. And you're thinking, call them, say, hey, come and fix the electricity. Well, no. First of all, how are you going to call? Your phone service, not only is your internet probably down, your phone service probably is horrible, especially if you live in the mountains. We have service. I don't have service. I never have service. Rafa has a SIM card, Claro, I think, or Tigo, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So with internet, phone service, electricity can all be spotty. It can be, maybe it's gonna work. Baki venga. Maybe it's gonna work, maybe it's not gonna work. Some of you might be thinking, get solar panels, that will solve your problem. That probably would solve your problem, but solar panels in Colombia, very expensive, very expensive. And there are other homesteaders or people who moved to rural areas who came from the United States and brought like shipping containers full of stuff. Just so you understand where I'm coming from about moving here, I brought a backpack and decided that I wanted to live here. So I just came with a backpack full of clothes, and I don't mean a big backpack. I mean like a maybe 25-liter backpack. So I just get what I can get from Colombia. I rarely bring things from the US. I got this new camera there when I was there. I brought like a cast iron skillet. So very few things. So just to give you perspective, I didn't come here having solar panels, having a generator, having things that I brought. I'm doing everything from in the country that I live in. Number 4, feeling isolated and struggling to make friends. But I've never really felt isolated in my life. And I've never felt lonely. So for me, moving to the countryside and moving here, I could like never leave my farm and not talk to another person for days and be completely fine. Now I understand we're not all like that and we need socialization. Me and Rafa go to coffee shop. Plus I have Rafa and his mom and now his nephew's living here. We go to coffee shops. There's a lot of coffee shops in town, so you don't have that feeling. If you are an extrovert, you won't feel isolated because the town I live in has a lot of activities to do. Like coming up is going to be our Festival de Cometa, which is like the kite festival. Yesterday in town, there was like a whole list of activities happening. So there are always activities. So you might struggle to make friends and you might feel isolated if you move to the rural areas. That is why it is so, I cannot express how important it is if you are someone who wants to live in the countryside, but yet you also need the aspect of socialization. How like vital it is to your moving that you go to somewhere that has a lot of cultural activities or has a lot of activities in town. I'm working on a video about why I chose the town I chose, even though I'm very much a hermit, very enjoy being alone, like 90% of the time. I also chose to live here because there is activities in town, so you don't feel isolated. And once you have like a basic grasp of the language, you can go and talk to people. So I mean, I can go into town and talk to people and have no problems and get that socialization aspect. But in other towns that I've lived in, absolutely zero social interactions, absolutely zero. And then you might start to feel some isolation. And that is a big problem with a lot of people who are very social. They do struggle to fit in here because they need that community. I have been here a year. We know a couple of people in town. And, you know, the thing about people who live like I live is we want our space. We didn't move here to be super social creatures. It's available if you need it, but just realize that a lot of people that do move and live in these areas are a bit more introverted and a bit more isolated just by nature. So take that into consideration. If you are super social and you need to have a lot of socialization, make sure you find a pueblo or a rural area that can cater to your needs for that. Number 5, if you're going to live rural and you're going to live on a homestead, on a farm, you're just going to be dirty. I think I'm dirty all the time. Look, I was sitting on the ground and I'm sitting on guadua. And on top of it, there's dust everywhere. So I feel that I am like dirty a lot of the times. It rains, it's muddy, the animals got in the rain, Baki brings home dead animals. So there's a lot of like dead things, dirt, and if you're not someone who's okay with that, then you're gonna struggle living in the countryside. Even if you live in town, there's a lot of dust. It's just nature, you're in nature. Even though Pueblo is in nature, it's dirty. So yeah, a lot of people who want to move, who follow my channel, want to either live like I'm living remote, have a finca. And you know, if you have a finca, you're either gonna have a really fancy finca and pay a lot of money for it, or you're gonna live like me and you're gonna buy a fixer-upper finca and creating a homestead. And if you're doing all the work yourself, which I'm gonna get to that point in a few minutes, you're just gonna be dirty. You're gonna get dirty. I'm just dirty, yeah. I don't have anything more to say. You're just gonna be dirty. Number 6, things happen very slowly in the countryside. Things move slowly. People have a like mañana type of attitude. It'll happen when it happens. Things will get done eventually. Not gonna happen fast. So that is like a mentality that you will need to adapt if you live here. Well, you don't have to adapt it. You'll go crazy. So you don't have to adapt it, but if you don't want to go crazy, you should probably have like a more of a laid back life, like mentality. When I first came to Colombia and traveled through Latin America, I was absolutely not like that. Every taxi driver told me tranquila because they were driving crazy and I was like white knuckling it. And now I'm just like, okay, but it has taken time. So be aware, even if you're in the city, it's even a little bit slower than if you come from like, I don't know, like Los Angeles like I did. It just time moves slower. It's a slower paced lifestyle. And this is like, so we have been dealing with something for the house and Rafa has gone to this department like 5 times and they still haven't dealt with our issue. So that is completely normal. He is very non-Colombian in that. He's very type A. And I have a more of a like, it's just how it is here. Like, that's how it is. And I know people hate when they're like, you can't just say that's how it is because blah, 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 whatever. And, but yeah, if you don't accept that's how life is here, you are going to make yourself insane. So you either adapt or you are gonna go crazy. You can still live here, but you're gonna go crazy. So yeah. Number 7, here in the countryside, no one really cares what you, like no one cares what I was like before I moved here. Like no one cares about my degrees. No one cares what kind of job you had. No one, like, it's such like a United Statesian thing. When you meet someone, the first thing you ask is, after their name, what do you do? Like, what do you do, like, for work? Here, nobody cares. Not one person cares what you do for work. No one cares if you have a degree. No one cares if you have a PhD. No one cares. At zero. Absolutely nobody cares. Which I love it, because when you first meet people here, the first thing they ask you, they'll ask you your name, and then they ask you like maybe something nice like, oh, where do you, usually people ask you where do you live, what part of the country do you live in, where'd you come from, like just things about you as a person to get to know you. I don't think I've ever been asked what is my job or what kind of job I had before. Do I have a degree? Absolutely zero. No, nobody cares. And it's so nice because then you're not defined by your career or what your career was, or yeah, I just don't think it's a big deal. So I actually love that no one cares about that, because I don't care either. So why do what they care? Number 8, I kind of talked about this already. You have to learn the way of the locals, or you will go crazy. That also goes to learning that mañana lifestyle. If you don't adapt to the culture you're living in, you are going to go crazy. I'm just going to tell you, they're not going to change. You cannot come as one person and expect everybody to bend the rules around you and have you be the, you're going to be the problem maker, and then people are going to avoid you and no one wants to talk to you or be around you, but no one's going to bend to your way of life. Even if you come here and you're like, my way is better, the way we do things in my country is better, it might be better. It might statistically and scientifically be proven to be better and be more efficient. That doesn't matter. And along with that is you need to learn the way, like I talk to all my neighbors and learn from what they're doing, learn how they're doing things, learn to work with the nature, learn to work with the people around here. And you watch, you see, it's like observing the land. You watch, you see how they do things, and you're like, oh, okay, I can do it this way. Okay, let me do it this way. And then you can add your own spin onto things. But if you're trying to reinvent the wheel coming from where you're from and reinvent their wheel, it's not going to work. If you come here and you're like, but in my country I did it this way, so I'm going to come and do it this way, I'm going to tell you, nature is going to say, it don't work like that. Like, we have all this guadua here, so the locals, they all build with guadua. So we're building with guadua. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're using what we have. And that way, if you do it the way they do, then you can have someone, people can help you. If you're doing it your way and expect help, they're gonna be like, what do you do? I don't know how to work with these materials, or this isn't something that I'm comfortable with. They're gonna tell you no, flat out. They're gonna just say no. It's not like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try and bend to your ways of doing things. No, they're just gonna tell you no. They're gonna say no, that's it. For example, I'm currently in process of cutting down a bunch of weeds on my land. And basically, I thought about hiring, last year we hired people to help pick our coffee harvest. And now I told Ralph, I'm like, yeah, we could hire someone. He said, no one's gonna help you this year. Your land, it's all overgrown. They're not gonna come and work in overgrown land. And he just said they're not gonna do it. So I was like, oh, okay. And I mean, I kind of already decided that I was gonna cut the land. I wanted to cut the grass myself, because they come in with their weed whackers and will cut everything. This kind of is like my thing. My thing. It's either you're gonna adapt to their ways or you're gonna do it yourself. So I'm doing it myself because I want to cut the land a specific way. I can't just hire someone and tell them how I want them to do it. They're gonna come and do it their way. But if I want it done my way, I have to do it myself. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's why it's taking me a little bit longer. But yeah, that's to the point. Like I'm being a little bit stubborn like this because I'm creating the terraces. Here, they don't really create terraces. In this is like my kind of like, it's something that I want to do and create, so I have to do it myself. I can't hire someone to come and be like, do this, this, and this. No, they're going to do it their way. And I am very well aware of that, especially after Rafa told me that. I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that. Like, you know, sometimes you also don't think about things. You're not like, oh yeah, it just took me a minute. And you know what? That's fine. If I have to do it myself, that's completely okay. And that's another thing is, if you're going to be like me and a little bit stubborn on certain things, you're going to have to do it yourself. So yeah. Number 9 is kind of relates to nature, the weather. The weather, 9 is weather. Weather dictates everything you do. We're currently in dry season, which is why I'm cutting the hill, why I'm cutting all my grass, because we're in dry season. I mean, it rained last night and the night before, but at night, not all day. So that is considered dry season. So yeah, the weather predicts everything. The weather also controls if you can leave and go to the city or not. So if it's been raining really bad and there's a landslide and the road is closed, you can't go anywhere. So you're here. So if you need something emergently from the city, no, you cannot. You're gonna have to find a different place to go, a different thing that you need. So you really learn to be really learn to be resilient living in the countryside, because the weather will control everything. Number 10, if you came here searching for peace, you better find it inside first, because you can have the peace environment and then you put yourself in a rural environment with little to no social interactions at first. You're going to drive yourself crazy if you have not found that inner peace inside you. So you can come searching for the peaceful environment. You will find it, but if you have demons, or if you need to always be distracted, you are going to have a really hard time living in rural Colombia. So you might have a few breakdowns before you get there, but if you're willing to stick it out, you'll probably get there. It might take some time. Number 11, your neighbors will know everything about you. Small town gossip is just as fast in rural Colombia as it is in any small town USA. If you grew up in a small town, currently live in a small town, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Here, I can't do anything without my neighbors knowing exactly what I'm doing. Every single person knows I'm building a pond for ducks. They know we're putting in a little house down there. They know because they see you doing something. They come, they ask you, what are you doing? What are you building? Where are you from? Who lives in your house? What's your name? Why did you move here? Do you like my country? They will ask you a bazillion questions. That is one thing about Colombians, is they are very nosy. And it's not like you can come here to escape people. So it's a different thing. It's like we talked about the isolation. The isolation is different than nosy neighbors. Nosy neighbors, because if you don't speak the same language, if you don't speak enough Spanish, they're going to still ask you the same questions, and you're going to stare at them with a blank expression, and then you're going to feel isolated because you're like, I can't communicate with anybody. So having a nice basic grasp of Spanish will help with the social interaction. But also, if you don't want your neighbors to know anything about you, you can pretend like you don't understand them. Sometimes the people will walk by, and I live on the road, but it doesn't matter. I've lived in places where I lived in the top of a mountain with a small back road, and I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. My neighbors, I used to have this little boy come over to my house, he was like 10, and sit there and tell me, I'm going to practice Spanish with you. Like, they will come and practice Spanish with you. He will come over, he brought me like a ton of books. They were Jehovah's Witnesses, so they're all like these super religious books. So even if you move to the middle of nowhere and you think that you have no neighbors, one will pop up and know everything about you. Even if you don't speak the same language, they will start to look. They will see what you're doing. They will see this, and then they will try to talk to you. And they'll help your Spanish too. For me, talking to my neighbors helps my Spanish way more than anything else. So yeah, you just accept it again, or you're gonna drive yourself crazy. So I just talk to everybody. But I'm not gonna lie, if I'm like in a really cranky mood and I don't feel like talking, I just say I don't understand. Even though I do, or if someone has made me mad, because sometimes when they know everything about you, like we have our water nacimiento, our spring, up there. And we had the guy bulldoze a flat section. So we were going to put a little like cabin on the side of the mountain. And my neighbor comes and says, "You can't do that." And I knew exactly what he was saying. And I just said, "You need to talk to Rafa." I just said, "I don't understand you." Because I didn't feel like, because I was so mad, someone telling me what to do on my property. And ended up, he was right, because we had to go and ask the water municipality if that was like a legal thing, and it was. So he was right, but it was annoying that they are so nosy in my business. So yeah, they will be nosy. Even if you don't speak the same language, they will get their point across, trust me. So no matter if you live on the highest mountain possible, there will be one or two neighbors who will make you their business. And now you can hear the dogs barking. And here comes my dog's bark. Hey, ¿qué pasa? Number 12, if you are someone who injures yourself easily, you need 24/7 health care. You need health care a lot. I don't know, a lot. It's very far away. The closest hospital, okay, we have a small hospital in town. Basically, it is for like cut, bruises. It's like a very small hospital that can deal with like not emergencies. There is a hospital in Andes, which is about 3 hours away, or in Medellin, which is about 4 hours away. That is the closest trauma centers. And being a nurse, I'm aware that if you can't get somewhere in time, then bad things can happen. But also you have to develop, I think, well, I have a mentality of being aware that if something happens, it can go bad really fast. And you have to either be okay with it or don't live so far from healthcare or from an emergency service. So when you move to the rural areas, you have to be aware that if you are someone who is accident prone or needs emergency services closer, living so remote might not be for you. And that's something to take into consideration. If you have a lot of doctor's appointments, you have an illness, you have something where you need to be near medical services, constantly, then you definitely cannot move here. So I mentioned Medellin is 4 hours away. Other videos you may have heard me mention Medellin is an hour and a half away. Well, it goes back to the roads. We had a really bad, really rainy winter rain season. The new highway was only an hour and a half to Medellin from here. Super fast, amazing. I took it a few times. Great. Well, the rains came, flooding came, landslides came. The road was destroyed. So they're working on fixing it. They say maybe 6 months, 6 more months. So now we are back to 4 hours away. And that goes back into the knowing where you want to live, being how close you want to be to healthcare, and being okay if that happens. Like, we're completely fine if it takes us 4 hours to get to Medellin. We make do with what we have in the Pueblo. We don't really need, I know absolutely once a year have to go to the city. Well, tomorrow we're going to Armenia. Armenia is also 4 hours away, which is near Manizales. Now that Medellin is 4 hours away, I'm going to Armenia to get my visa. So my visa, I just renewed my visa. When you get your visa renewed, you have to go and register your visa so they can put it in your passport. So we're going to Armenia. It takes 4 hours. I could get an appointment there. So Medellin is 4 hours, so why not go somewhere new? So yeah, so that you have to be really flexible and really adaptable. But if it is something that you immediately need healthcare and it's 4 hours away, some of you that might be a huge factor of why not to live somewhere like where I live. Number 13, if you don't have a car or a motorcycle, you are 100% dependent on public transportation. Public transportation in Colombia is amazing. Even in the Pueblos, even here, it's amazing. I can go out there on the road and get a Jeep that passes by every few hours. I can call a moto taxi. I can call a tuk-tuk. Up until a certain point, like I said, they only run until about maybe the Jeeps stop at like 5 o'clock, and the moto taxis, the motos stop at about, I think 7, and I think the tuk-tuk stop they all stop early, is my point. So if you want to go somewhere after a certain point and you don't have your own car, if you don't have your own car or motorcycle, you depend on public transportation, well, you know what you're going to be doing. walking, hitchhiking. So you are dependent, if you like me, I don't even have a driver's license. I don't drive. I'm 100% dependent on Rafa or public transportation. I've had zero problems getting around. I will walk to town. And that's also why I like living where I live, because we are close enough to walk. Also, everybody here walks. So walking an hour to town is not a big deal. And if you're someone who's like, that's horrible, then get a car. Then get a car. Also, it's not out of my budget to get a car. I don't want a car. I don't like driving. I don't care if I can't go anywhere after 6 p.m. I do not care. Because I'm like, remember, hermit, introvert, prefer to be on my house. I can stay here and not go to the city ever. Besides like wanting 1 cup of nice coffee a week. I like to have a nice cup of coffee. I have good coffee here, but I don't have lattes. I don't have cappuccinos. But if I get a cappuccino machine, then I will never have to leave my farm, which is my ultimate goal. Number 14. Okay, so finding people to do things for you, like hiring workers, is very difficult in rural areas because we tried to find someone to build us a chicken coop. No, couldn't find anybody. We tried to find someone to help us build the fence. Couldn't find anybody. We tried to have, well, we are in process of finding someone to build us a retaining wall for the house, which is possible. So little things that aren't going to pay a lot, harder to find. So we're doing them ourselves. I could find someone to cut my grass, but not with my specific instructions. So X-nay that. I can find someone to pick the coffee if my grass is mowed, because coffee pays more. So the things that are going to pay more and be of higher value, you can find workers for. But with that said, so coffee pickers are really fast because they get paid per kilogram. So the more they pick, the more money they make super fast. That's the easiest thing to find around here. But if you want someone who's going to build you something, it takes time. And it might be slower. Remember, the mañana, everything happens in its own time. And they get paid per day. It's going to be a little bit slower. So you need contracts. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things you need I'm not going to get into. But yeah, so finding people to do things. If I was here living by myself and I had something break, I would have to learn how to do it myself. A lot of things here, Rafa, he watches YouTube videos and learns how to build things. He watches YouTube videos on how to fix the water tank or how to do plumbing stuff. So you learn to be really reliant on yourself to learn how to do things. If that's not something that you like, then it's probably not a good idea to move here because you're going to have to fix a lot of broken things yourself. Luckily, I have Rafa. But if he wasn't here, I would be YouTubing how to X, Y, and Z. So yeah. And I guess there's like something else. I guess number 15. We'll just make it 15 to make it a nice number. Number 15 is you learn how to make things, like cook things. I was never big on cooking. I lived in a city. I would eat out like almost every single meal. I would make oatmeal at home, maybe like a meal once or twice I would cook at home. No, we cook every single day. We cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every single day, maybe except for one day. But we cook everything. Now I'm like even expanding. I make my own bread. I make my own brownies. I make everything because I don't want to go into town every day because it's far. Well, it's not far, but it's still an adventure and outing. It's not like I can just walk out my door and turn right and go, hi, I would like X, Y, and Z. So you learn how to make, not only do you learn how to fix things, you learn how to make whatever you want to eat. So speaking of that, I need to go make lunch. And, lunch is the biggest meal in Colombia, so lunch is like the big thing to make here. Dinner is small, breakfast is small, but you still cook them all. Imagine cooking 3 meals a day. So, yeah. I hope this was helpful for you, those of you who are considering moving to rural Colombia. Come, visit, see if you like it. Don't rely on other people. Rely on yourself, because you know what you need best. You know what you look for, and you know what you're looking for, basically. I was looking for a lot different. I probably had, my checklist might have been different than your checklist. So, come check it out. See what you think. And hopefully this video was helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if that is something that you would like to do. I'm very grateful for the support. And on that note, I'm going to go make lunch because it is hot and time to eat lunch. Don't forget to comment, subscribe if this is the type of stuff that you're into. Drop me a comment if you have questions about something else, what I can make another video about. And thank you so much. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.